Hey, good afternoon. It's Tom Sheeran. This is another episode of Real Life Real Estate. My co-host today is my fellow agent, Chris Picotto. We're at the Dunwoody, Berkshire office. Chris comes from an extensive background in real estate. He's former, what was your title at Zillow, Chris?
I was a Zillow advisor.
Zillow advisor. So he worked for a couple years there, has a broadcasting background as well. And today we were going to touch on a couple topics for not only the new agents, but really existing real estate agents in today's world, and what we can do, just to stand out in front of our peers and be putting things out there on a regular basis. And Chris is kind of our resident social video guru at the office. So today we want to talk about primarily three things. So property content for your listings, community content for the areas where you live and or geo farm, and thirdly, what's your personal content you're putting out there too, besides being the agent. We want you to, and going to advise to show the real side of yourself too. And so Chris, let's start with property content. What do we want to portray when we're doing a listing, and also what are we talking, and how are we talking to our clients on how we're going to market their property properly?
Yeah, so key to marketing or creating content is understanding your audience, right? If you get a listing, you definitely want to get the right pictures, but also video is one of the biggest things nowadays in all social platforms, especially with reels and stories. That's where you get most of the engagement and most of the views from. So when you think about creating content about your property or about a property that you're listing, again, keep in mind your audience, right? If it's not a listing, you just want to show properties, just to create content and keep things going on your social platform. Think of who you want, what type of clientele you want to attract, right? And an example of this is it's okay to, shoot and film a $1.9 million home or a $3 million home if you have the opportunity to do so, by all means. But if that's not your clientele, the point of this content is to generate revenue, right? Or at least generate potential business, either at the moment or in the future. When it comes to the listings, you want to show your seller, hey, this is the content that I can do, and this is what I will do for your property and who I'm going to target. So it's important to put yourself out there and ask for the opportunity to film someone else's listings for free, or whatever you have to do so you can get that content and build your own portfolio.
Yeah, great points. And something we talked about before we went on the air was making sure we're addressing the correct audience, like you're talking about. And if we have a $500,000 listing, we don't want to be, trying to put it out as luxury, which usually starts at 750 or higher, or you don't want to put it on the lower end either. So you want to have the appeal to your audience you're trying to attract to the property.
Right.
And a lot of this too, I know a lot of agents they're a little hesitant. There's more, they might be a little scared of doing video, but I think there's a lot of hesitancy because they think it costs a lot to do this stuff, and it really doesn't. I mean, I've got a little portable light to my left. I've got a portable green screen behind me. I'm using the old headphones and recording from my PC. But when we're out in the field, we're usually the video quality of the phones are so good now that all you really need is, if you want to stay stationary, maybe get a stand for that instead of trying to do a handheld, and a cheap clip-on mic works perfect. And you've got a couple other devices that you've bought too, right, Chris?
So normally, I carry with me at all times a gimbal. Actually, I have it right here. For those that don't know what a gimbal is, it's a stabilizer, right, for your phone. And all the video that I shoot is, with this. And to your point, Tom, like I use my phone. I have an iPhone 13 Pro Plus. Um, you don't necessarily need that particular phone. That just happens to be the phone that I have. And you just adjust the settings, right? For example, when I shoot film, I'm always shooting in 4K 60 frames per second, which is probably one of the highest qualities you can get with my current phone. But with something as simple as your phone and just things that you have accessible to you, there's no need to go out and spend additional money. If you want to and you want to make it look a little bit more presentable, of course you can do so, but absolutely it's not required.
Yeah, you can get all that, a stand, a clip-on mic. There's good wireless mics out there too. I think a wired mic is a little better audio quality, and there's less interference, but you can do that for under $100 because everybody's got a phone, and you just need a few other things to get rocking and rolling. So but I think a lot of that causes hesitation with agents because they think they've got to spend all this money, but it's really not that much. So back to the content too now. So let's say we're out and about in the community you serve, or maybe it's somewhere you're farming, or you're trying to build it. What's a good way to reach out content wise for a community or an area?
You really want to think about the most popular areas in your community. Think about the most common uh, subdivision in your area that probably gets a lot of, maybe at the moment it's completely occupied, right? But the moment that something comes up, you want to be the first one available. So, reach out to community directors, community managers, whoever is in charge, to see if they allow you to film in there, right? Number one is getting the permission. Some things you don't need permission for, right? Depending on what it is, but it's always good to do your due diligence and just ask for that permission. And most of the time, you'll be surprised; they'll say yeah, and all you have to do is do a little, uh, what we call in the production side, get some B rolls and some short footage and put it all together on an app like, for example, InShot, which I remember teaching a class on that. But InShot is an app that I use for all my editing right on my phone. I try to keep things very simplistic. So, filming on my phone, editing on my phone, and posting right from my phone is the way I like to go. But in terms of the community content, again, do your research. This serves two purposes. One, it's going to give you the best content possible, and two, it's going to make you a expert in that community because you're doing your research. So when someone comes and wants to live in your neighborhood, they're going to be able to pinpoint, or someone's going to be able to direct them to you and say, oh, this, Chris is a realtor. He's the expert here. Go talk to him. He'll be able to guide you in the right direction.
Yeah, and the whole idea too is like you said, that's a great point, Chris, about doing your research, and just think about if you're in a neighborhood and why do you love it? Like for ours, for instance, it's very kid friendly. They have a lot of events for the kids and families, swim and tennis, but you don't have to branch out too far from the neighborhood, and just, favorite restaurants in the area, that sort of thing. And people love that. And they look at that more. And that's another thing we were talking about before we came on, Chris, that I did this quick video about a month ago about this new restaurant coming to town, and it's gotten the most looks out of all the videos I've done, and most of those we're talking about the real estate market or other thing, but I shoot a quick 30-second video about a new family-friendly restaurant coming to Dunwoody, and it's got the most looks I've ever had. So it's crazy. And again, that's a great point about keeping it real. So, and the last point we wanted to talk about today is about coming across as not only you don't want to be bombarding them all real estate all the time. So we want to show our own human and personal side. It's kind of like on Facebook when we're posting, pictures with our family or at an event or something. We want to do the same thing with video, right, Chris? And just show that, hey, we got other things going on in our lives as well. They'll remember us as an agent. So if you show the other human side, it will have a lot better attraction as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's people like to interact with a human, right? If they wanted to do a process completely online, then they have the opportunity to do that, right? That's what some of these big corporations are there for. To, most of them eliminate the human aspect of it, and it's just strictly business and very transactional. But I still think that in this line of business and in this industry in general, um, as good as technology is going to get, it's never going to replace the human aspect of it. And this is where posting personal content comes into play, and it's very crucial. I'll give you an example. Actually, last night I reposted a picture of, it was this woman. She was in this wedding gown, or excuse me, wedding dress, and she looked absolutely stunning. Like it was beyond something I had ever seen, and I was just like, wow, the standard for what I believe my future wife will be has definitely been risen. So I went ahead and I just reshared that video. It was a video, and I've gotten so many views on it. And when I look at the insights or the analytical side of it, there's a lot of people that have looked at that video from my repost, and I don't know them. I haven't followed them. They don't follow me. So for one, it's a good opportunity to engage with someone because they obviously saw it because of you or my content. But it also shows that, hey, I'm not only here to talk about real estate. Like I also acknowledge other things, other people, things that I find stunning that probably someone else will. So it's having, resonating with another human being that makes this personal content much more greater than what a lot of people anticipate it to be. So it's something as simple as reposting something like that, or if you want to post something that you like. I like video games as well, and if there's something that I see in the news that's coming out, I'm going to share it on my real estate page, because again, it's not only about real estate. It's a bigger picture than just real estate.
Yeah, those are great examples. And I've heard too that it's always good to like post a question or put something out there. What do you think as far as ice cream, for example? Would you do, if you only had one choice, would you do chocolate, vanilla, mint chocolate chip? What would your go-to flavor, or would you get all three with what's the combination flavor again called that has all that? Would you choose that? So anything like that to engage people. But what you did too with the wedding gown, it engages people and touches on their wants and needs and feelings, and it just it just keeps you real. And that's great advice on that too. So wrapping
Yeah,
up,
and
Chris, anything else you want to add before we sign off?
yeah, uh, all I want to say is, don't overthink the video content creation process of it. If you have doubts, if you're posting something about real estate and you have doubts about what you're posting, in terms of legal aspects, check with your brokerage, Instagram, or excuse me, not Instagram. Look at your brokerage's social pages. If they posted it, more than likely it's already past legal. So feel free to, make that yours and repost it, reshare, customize it, make it yours, whatever it is. But nevertheless, it's a matter of just starting, right? There's a couple of things that we could do ourselves. But one of the hardest part for people is getting started. But once you get started, it's like an engine. It just keeps going on and going and going and going. And once you get, you know, you're going to start off small. You're going to start off with a few views, and then eventually you're going to get one view or one something that you post that has nothing to do, and you thought it wasn't going to get a lot of views, and here you are, 5,000 impressions later, and it just goes like that, right? So just understand that the point of video marketing in general, or social media marketing, uh, think of it as a billboard, right? Like that is your digital billboard for everything, for personal content, community content, property content, whatever you're looking to do.
Yeah, that's great facts. And real quick, so generally the platforms, of course, Facebook, and now Facebook has Reels, which are your shorter, more compact videos, usually under 30 seconds or maybe 30 seconds, right, Chris? And then we want to be touching on LinkedIn. That is the business community. So you want to get it out there. And then if you're onto Instagram, Twitter, even if you don't really use those platforms, it's still good to get it out there. You never know who you're going to attract, right?
Yeah, yeah. The point here is to put yourself out there, right? This is just one type of marketing, um, and one aspect to put you out there. It's probably the most cost affordable way as well, right? You don't have to pay for ads. You're being organic. You're being who you are, and you're posting the things that you like at the end of the day. So yeah, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn is actually the most underused platform, if you didn't know, by a lot of agents. um, However, it's for me it's probably my favorite, because I'm engaging with a lot of other professionals that maybe is going to open up an opportunity for a buyer or a seller, or whatever the case may be. But LinkedIn will get you a lot of impressions. Like, once one person sees it, another person sees it, and it just explodes. This last post that I made, it's right now it's up to 30,000 impressions.
Wow.
And I kid you not, it was just, I did not expect it was going to get to that level. To be honest, it was just something that I thought about, and I just posted out there, and it's right now it's up to 30,000. So uh, post it everywhere. Post it everywhere. Don't be afraid. Um, Facebook and Instagram, obviously they're owned by the Meta company. So if you use the Meta Business Suite, all you have to do is use that, and it'll post it to Facebook and Instagram, right, all at once. So you don't have to do two separate things. But if you guys have any questions or comments, or just simply want to chat, you can definitely, I'm very active on Instagram. My handle is at the real Chris P, with PI at the end. Um, but feel free to direct message me, and we can definitely chat about that.
Excellent, excellent. I'll have his contact info too at the end. And we sure appreciate your time today, Chris, and your expertise. And maybe you and I can do another video soon, and maybe a couple we could have. I just thought of it, maybe a quick educational video on how to do something, and it can be cheap, down and dirty, and still get you a lot of good looks. So thanks so
Yeah.
much, Chris. Another great episode today, and we'll be talking to everybody soon. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.